Audrey Trouble Deserand. She started as a student, and then she became a prefect to head girl, to becoming more and more involved in the cast, to a teaching assistant, to she became professor of herbology and head of Enigma's house.
She's always so quirky and wonderful as Deserand. Love working with her. Wish that she and Josh were still around to be able to work with them more.
Relationship with Craven, seeing that change from being the fact that she hated Craven with a passion into she cares deeply about Craven and will do anything for Craven. That friendship and respect until they finally go off into the sunset together and off to Arcadia to look at the School of Timbernack, and finally relocating Timbernack down to New Orleans. Is such a great little side story that's happening right now. So that rebuilding of the trust, the relationships, and the school is all symbolized all at the same time.
I'll never forget, it was the day that the lads were doing the Marauders, and I was walking down the hall, and I didn't know them very well yet because I was so new, and all three of them were coming, or four of them, I think, were coming at me saying, and they said, "Oh, here comes Trouble." And I had already kind of toyed with Trouble as a name, but that kind of just clinched it because that was just way too much fun. The last name Deserand came from a family that my parents were neighbors of in New Orleans back in the day. And because of my connection to New Orleans, I wanted to have Audrey's character be from New Orleans, from this New Orleans family, think rich mansion sort of thing, and with a little bit of darkness underlining it. And so I took the Deserand name because it was connected to that in a real world situation, and I just liked the sound of it. So then it was Trouble Deserand, and I'm a big Twin Peaks fan, and Audrey Horne, of course, you can't go without Audrey Horne if you're a Twin Peaks fan, so that's where the name Audrey came from. So then it became Audrey Trouble Deserand, although it wasn't until she evolved into getting past the student stage and more into when she graduated and became a teaching assistant and then into a professor that I actually started using the full name. But Trouble is her real middle name. But yeah, we walk hand in hand. She developed as an older student because I had to find a way to explain the fact that this 30-year-old woman was running around being a prefect or a head of house in a wizarding school that is generally ages 11 to 18. And so I explained that away with the having to wait. Her parents wanted her to wait and get a real Muggle education, and so I got to work in a lot of my actual real-life education into the character too, and just maintaining a balance between her and myself, and she's really just always going to be kind of my other half.
Cody captures playing the quintessential Western hero so well. It's awesome to be able to work with him and to watch him teach, watch him interact with the kids and the rest of the cast.
We got to talking about, we need a fun character that the kids would really love. The first character that I put together to be the Colubray House Ghost was actually a lounge singer. 70s style lounge singer that had been a wizard and just decided to do this other thing. So it would have been like full either leisure suit or that kind of thing with, the long hair or something like that. And hey, crude into other, that kind of thing. And Brian and I were like, that's kind of cool. Okay. We pitched the idea, and there were some people that were like, okay, that sounds interesting. And I remember Josh, because Josh went, no, that's a terrible idea. We're like, why is that a terrible idea? Everybody was like, people can do their own characters, right? And he was like, my character, because at that time he was head of Colubray House, it's like, Mike and Craven would not even interact with this guy. No way. He would hate him. He would hate him and not want to be anywhere near him. No, it's a terrible idea. So Brian and I were like, oh, okay, we'll think of something else.
And he's got this elegance to him that really can't be beat when it comes to a character, this grace, this southern grace.
How about a gambler? Okay, a gambler works. We could try that. And slowly but surely, it worked its way into a southern riverboat gambler, and who was also a wizard but living in the Muggle world, and that kind of thing. And then the whole story of Aleator came out of that, and so Aleator actually in Latin means gambler. So that's where that name came from. The middle name Invictus is also Latin, which means unbeaten. So together, unbeaten gambler. And then Boudreaux, I just like the name, because after I placed him down in the south, I was like, I need a good southern sounding name, and Boudreaux, yeah, that works. Which then made it even more funny when we brought in Michelle, whose maiden name is Boudreaux, and she was like, hey, we've got the same last name. She's like, yeah, you've got an X though. My family was never rich enough to afford the X. So I thought that was...
Aleator is Johnny's best friend.
Doesn't seem to be the typical Colubre. He's got that ambition, though. I mean, he's got a lot of ambition, but it seems to be that his character has taken a turn, probably, as a result of his death, from... this greed-stricken gambler, that's just running around in his old, back in the day, and doing things to, make more money. To, he died as a result of that sort of thing, and now he's paying for it. But and he's changed his life around in death.
Aleator knew him, and his father Alain knew Johnny from the school. Knowing him as the house ghost. Even when Johnny didn't know himself, they knew Johnny, and that was what was tying it all together.
Turned into a caregiver to kids, which is the exact opposite of the greedy sort of gambler type persona that he was in life, and that's just kind of neat to see. Plus, Cody plays character very, very well. There's nobody else that could pull Aleator off.
Scorpio viewed him as nothing more than an undead hall monitor. That this guy was just walking the halls, trying to trump on his fun all the time.
Aleator, Mr. Boudreaux, he's always been a ghost after my own heart because he's from the South too. So we've always had a lot to play with together on that.
Came from. And Brian and I have talked many times about how glad we are that Josh hated the lounge singer, because I couldn't have gotten mileage out of that character. There is no way.
Alain Boudreaux is that father figure. He's the poster for Soldier's Story has Alain's face up in the sky. And when I designed that I wanted that up there because he is this great spirit that's helping Johnny. He's that voice. He's trying to help save the world, and he's just a ghost. And he knows now that he's dead, and he's trying to let Johnny know that he's dead too, right? So it's interesting seeing how those two play out. One of the strongest scenes I think that we played was the history of magic class that Alain and Johnny did together, where they bounced off of each other, showing the complex views of the Civil War, that it's not just a war of slavery or a war of northern aggression, that there's lots of feelings and lots of different kinds of people throughout the entire war. And so we told ghost stories of the different battlegrounds, while we also worked on each other because Alain was a slave owner and Johnny was this is Union Johnny we're talking about, and this is the reason why he felt the war was being fought was against slavery. And hearing Alain explain that he felt like he was saving his servants from being put into normal plantations. He was able to take them and let them use their magical abilities to make it easier. And then when somebody would show up, they'd act like they were out there with a hoe or what have you. But they and then went right back to the magic. So
Johnny is my favorite character. I fascinated with him. With his character history, how he came to be. I've always been a proponent that Johnny could have his own book series with the amount of material and whatnot that has gone into him, and there's no better person than for Mikey to be playing him. The kids are always the emotion that is attached to the character is tangible. It's you can see that in our live shows, and this last endeavor with Endgame. It was there. There was not a dry eye in the house when Johnny was reunited with his family. That was very tremendous to see.
One night, I was talking with Brian at the VFW, and we were there for a event from our pirate group, and we were discussing things that Avistrum could use, and keeping this same American vision. And we're in this place that you're surrounded by this patriotic feeling, right? And so it just seems so perfect. And Brian had made the comment of he always wanted to have a house ghost for Labostro, which is the house of loyalty, which makes sense. Have a house ghost that was a Revolutionary War soldier. And I started thinking about it. I started wondering, okay, so what's the background of this soldier, and how can we make it a little bit more magical than just a soldier that's died at that certain time, and there he is. And can we make it any larger of a story? Well, what if we then we need to have a legend, right? So what if we take the legend and myth of the unknown soldier? The unknown soldier's grave, of course, represents all soldiers through every war that have no name, that their selfless service that they gave to their country, and this honor that they have of being recognized. So what if there's an unknown soldier per se that shows up in every war? What if we have this unknown soldier being the ghost? Is there something magical about him that pushes him from war to war, and what is this? And there was so much that engaged in this whole story that it really opened things up, and we were able to really get into going back to different times and developing a character that was so innocent and but so pure. He's this pure, innocent soul that is just wanting to go home to his family. And his love for his friends, his love for his country, is what makes the Johnny character so much of a joy to work with.
He makes me want to cry just looking at him, or even thinking about him. He's a fantastic, fragile character with all of this history and this past that's so rich and so full that he's the sort of character that you could explore for a lifetime and not uncover everything that there is to find.
At the end of Worlds at War, when Drake takes Johnny with him, and the kids then bring back a Johnny, it's actually, they're bringing back his innocence. They bring back that innocent, courageous side of Johnny, whereas the other side of Johnny, the more warlike side, is what marches off with Drake.
Don't forget, Johnny. I forgave you too. Please.
You are our weakness. What is it to us who falls before us? We are destined to be an unstoppable war machine whose whole purpose is to conquer.
Johnny. I'm here.
But I can't let you take all the blame. After all, we both know it was I who helped you pull the trigger.
You were wrong.
No! You are wrong! You're without friends here, little tin soldier.
My friends are always with me.
And even though they're both the same soul, they are constantly battling with each other. And it's not until Honor's wand is used and we see the true power of that wand.
Always be with you.
Just what Mikey did with Johnny was just awesome. I mean, I don't even know how to put it. You just watch the damn film because it's just awesome.
And that was Drake's biggest fear, was bringing the two Johnnies together.
The humanity that he brings to his characters, whether it's Scorpio or Johnny or any of those, just the human element shows through his eyes so well, and it's really a joy to get him on film to do that.